Hello, my name's Gary Bohannon, coming to you from Carter Vintage Guitars in Nashville, Tennessee. I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year. I am here today to talk with you about Michael Bloomfield, and specifically about Michael Bloomfield's second Telecaster. His first Telecaster was a 63 that he bought in 1964, and Mike was kind of like... he wasn't one of those guys that had a lot of guitars laying around the house. The 63 Telecaster went on to be used with the Butterfield Blues Band's first record, which was called the Butterfield Blues Band. It was used on Bob Dylan's first electric record called Bringing It All Back Home, and subsequently played when Bob went electric at Newport in 1965. Now Mike was a blues guy. He loved Freddie King. He loved Gibsons. So he took that guitar and sometime in '64 and traded it for a 1954 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top from a guy named John Moose. And Mike used that guitar on the first Electric Flag record. And somewhere along the line, in 66 or 67, Mike traded that guitar to Dan Erlewine, very famously, for a Sunburst Les Paul, a 1959 Les Paul. During that time, I think Mike was one of those guys. He was a really practical musician. And there's an old adage that you never leave home without a Fender, especially a Telecaster. And I think Mike knew he needed to have another Telecaster, so he got this guitar. This is a 66 Tele. And he kept it for the rest of his life, which unfortunately was cut short in 1981 from a drug overdose. You can see this guitar in two different ways on YouTube, which is really kind of cool. You can see it at the 1967 Monterey Pop Festival, and he's playing with the Electric Flag, and Buddy Miles is the drummer in that band, and he's incredible drummer, incredible singer, and they do a song called Over Loving You. And you can see Mike playing this guitar in its original condition before it got painted. Now, sometime a little later, it's either Mike's sister or his girlfriend's sister painted this guitar the way you see it today. It's quite the artistic interpretation. It's really kind of a cool painting. I like it. And you can see this guitar in this configuration with Mike playing it in a video of, it's another Electric Flag video with Nick Gravenites singing. So it's kind of cool on YouTube. You can see this guitar in, its original configuration with the flag in 1967. And a little later, I think that performance was from the early 70s, like 72 or so. Mike always, he always kept a Fender nearby. It was always, a Telecaster is always like the most reliable source for music. Especially if you're a road-going musician, you can always depend on a Telecaster. And Mike always depended on these guitars. So, check it out. Go to YouTube, take a look at those things. Come down to Carter Vintage, see the real deal.